In an A, in a D comes an M and a G. Every value, every C, every lock has its key. Every disc, every hammer, every goal, every header, every bar, every hurdle, every dunk, every tackle. Every warrior or maroon, every tallow or goon, every falcon, every tiger, every bulldog, every archer. Every darkness, every light, for the blue and for the white. Everyone, every big, every fight. One big fight. Fights in the fight. Three 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 fights in the fight. Fight blue and white. Three fights in the fight. Fight blue and white. Three fights in the fight. Fight blue and white. Three fights in the we're gonna fight. Every test, every trouble, every mess, every rumble, every pen, every paper, every right, every answer, every win, every loss, every circle, every cross, every piece, every wall, every wound, every scar, every chicken, every ball, every spoon, every ball, every color, every hue, every red, yellow, blue, every darkness, every light, for the blue and for the white, everyone, every day, every fight, one big fight.
Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Huwag kang magulat kung sa darating na panahon ay ikaw din ang paratangan ay rebelde. Anti-Espanyol, anti-Iglesia. Ang importante, gawin mo ang tama.
Pedro, di ba kayo natatakot?
Bakit ako matatakot magsabi ng totoo?
Hindi niyo ako pinatitinggan! Sabihin mo sa akin, Padre, hindi ba talaga tayo minalas at sinumpang bayan? Buhay pa ba ang alab sa puso mo?
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay at tenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugod, todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan.
take you right into the action with the highlights, insights, and analysis of the sports scene in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. With your hosts, Anthony Perez and Mookie Borja. Katipunan. Game on.
Alright, what is up, Blue Eagle Nation? Glad to be back in the studio once again. I'm finally healthy, finally good to go. It's me, Anthony, bringing you once again another exciting edition of Radyo Katipunan Sports. We are live via Radyo Katipunan on Facebook and on YouTube. Hello to our viewers. Great afternoon to everyone. I hope there are no casualties from our emergency drill a while ago. I hope everyone's safe. So, we're back here in the studio, and joining me is the young fella, Mookie B. Not from the Dodgers, but from our very own Loyola Heights background. What's going on, Mook?
Hey Anthony, long time no see. It's great to be back again in the studio. Lots of sports happened this past few weeks. I'm ready to dive in.
Right, let's get this show on the road, Mook. So, we'll first start you off, guys, with news around the Blue Eagles nest. And of course, Mookie, the biggest news of this week, a reason for Ateneans to celebrate. It's the first championship of UAAP Season 86. Make it a double championship at that. Mookie, our badminton Blue Eagles and Lady Eagles bring home the first badminton double crown since 2014.
What can I say? You know, the women's badminton team has been dominating these past few years, but I think the men's team deserves a lot of credit now since they just toppled like a very big dynasty with NU in the badminton world. I think they won the last 7 championships. They also beat them in the elimination round to end NU's like unbeaten record for I think also the same amount of years. So an amazing feat for the men's team. Of course, the women's team, we always give them their flowers now. This is their 4th year in a row. MVP Mika de Guzman dominating the sport as we know it, as we know her. She can definitely do those things. But a big shout out to the men's team. Again, and also just a classic badminton match. I was able to catch the earlier matches of, you know, the finals. And I think the Blue Eagles were down against NU for a while. And then they had to fight their way back. And it was the rookie, Lance Vargas, who actually won the whole thing for them. So very happy for him. Very promising that we have a rookie who's capable of showing up in the biggest moments, and a really great win. Congratulations to both teams. To just a double. It's an amazing feat anywhere. So very happy.
Women's, of course, bagging their 4th consecutive UAAP title, as what Mookie said. And our men's badminton team, for the first time since 2013, back atop the hill. And also, one big congratulations also to the aforementioned Mika de Guzman and Joshelle Alvarez for being awarded co-MVPs after this UAAP Season 86. And of course, not to be outdone for their efforts, Lirden Laborte and Pinkoy Salvado, co-MVPs as well.
Co-MVP. That's such an amazing experience to, you know, I think they raised both of their one trophy together. That's such a powerful image. Because, you know, at the end of the day, these badminton players they're all one big team, you know. So to celebrate, to even get the same accomplishment as your peers, that's more than, you know, friendship. That's more than just being teammates, you know. That's one tight-knit family that are able to celebrate now as champions. They have been celebrating, I think, probably since Sunday when they won it all. So if you see a member of the badminton team around in school or anything, just congratulate them. They really deserve all the flowers right now. That this is our first title this year. Hopefully more to come for Season 86. But yeah, again, congratulations to them.
And we also forgot to mention a star on the rise. Rookie Lance Vargas, awarded the Badminton Rookie of the Year. Impressive in his debut campaign for the Blue and White.
Right. He showed up. He showed up in the finals. That's how you win those awards, by showing up during key moments of the season. And he showed why, you know, as much as NU, you know, has been dominating these past few years, this is definitely a step forward for the Ateneo men's badminton program, and hopefully Lance Vargas can lead us these upcoming years the way he's been playing.
Yep. So again, one big congratulations to our men's and women's badminton team for claiming the first championship of Ateneo this UAP season 86. So Mookie, from badminton, we switch now to another racket sport. Our Blue Eagles and Lady Eagles of the table tennis team, well, they're both in the semifinals for UAP season 86.
Right,
Great for them.
That's hopefully they, repeat badminton's efforts. They make it to the finals, but I believe there's still no schedule for the Final Four, so we'll get back. We'll talk more about that when it actually happens. But then, a huge congratulations also to them because they made it that far. Ateneo is a school known for, always contending for the championships in sports. So it's nice to see the table tennis team also, repping the blue and white.
Definitely. And we hope to see them in action very soon, hopefully in the finals for our
Yes, please.
Blue Eagles and Lady Eagles of table tennis. Now, over briefly to the basketball court, Mookie, where our women's basketball team unfortunately suffered a speed bump in their second to the last game of UAP season 86, losing to the DLSU Lady Archers in a pretty close one, 67-61. But I'm sure they're gonna bounce back come their final game in final game in the elimination round.
Yes.
In UAP season 86.
I think the women's team have already booked their ticket to the Final Four.
Okay.
I think they're just, playing this game out. Of course, they want to finish the elimination round strong. I think they will. They were down most of the game during that LaSalle match, but then to keep it close, sometimes when shots aren't falling, you just want to keep it close so that, during crunch time, you have a chance to win it. And, they kept it close. So that's all you can ask for. Hopefully, the next game they play better to finish out their impressive elimination round well, so that, in the Final Four, who knows? Who knows with basketball? So, yeah.
And for those of you Ateneans who can't wait for volleyball action to begin, well, we have beach volleyball coming up this November 17 to 19 and the following weekend, 24 to 26, where our volleyball Blue Eagles will represent the blue and white at the sands in the SM by the Bay, the MOA Beach Volleyball Sand Court. So, hope to see you guys there. And also, Mookie and I would like to give a shout out to our Ateneo track and field team because after their Patafa relays, they're now going to begin their quest for track glory.
Yep.
Starting November 22 at the Phil Sports Arena.
Yes. Big shout out to the track and field team. I know you guys are gonna perform really well, show out for everyone, and I want to give a big shout out next week because track and field starts the season. I think swimming also starts the season. So, I think the Phil Sports Complex is big. So I hope a lot of Ateneo faithful, come and support their track and field members, and I hope the same with the swimming team. I believe it's in Rizal Memorial again, so hopefully you guys can also show up there because they need your support.
Right, Fast Ateneo finally back in action. All right, guys, that does it for our news around the Blue Eagles nest. Up next, Mookie and I will be breaking down the last 3 elimination games of our Blue Eagles in the UAP Season 86 basketball tournament. So stick around, we'll be back in just a few.
You're listening to the voice of the Blue Eagles.
You know what it is of Blue Eagle. Radyo Katipunan, 87.9. Are you feeling sore? We can make that better. Tune in to the Ateneo Senior High School's first radio program, SOAR, the Seniors On Air Radio. Don't change that channel yet because SOAR is ready to put the you in you. SOAR, Seniors On Air, here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
If it's entertainment you crave, catch us on New Wave. Surfing through the latest on our shores. New Wave. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. New Wave. See you there.
Mga Katipuneros, it's time to level up! Your talk variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. as we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede. Mga isyung napapanahon, ating pag-usapan. Baka naman pwede. Gamit ang mga pananaw mula sa iba't ibang kalinangan.
Baka naman pwede.
Mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture, kami inyong samahan. Tayo'y maghuntahan. Dito lang sa Baka naman pwede. Tuwing Huwebes, alas 3 ng hapon, dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Radyo Katipunan is now online. See our live feed on facebook.com/Radyo Katipunan. Check out our Instagram and our Twitter at Radyo Katipunan and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Radyo Katipunan FM for more exclusive content. Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Alright, Athenians, we are back here on Radyo Katipunan Sports. Anthony, of course, as always, joined by Mookie B. Now, Mookie, we're down to the last 3 elimination games for our basketball Blue Eagles. Well, of course, we finished a couple of the past 2 games, on a winning note, and we got one all-important matchup coming this Saturday. But we'll do it this way. No, we'll break down the last 2 wins that we had versus Adamson and UE respectively, and we'll try to preview what's coming next for our Blue Eagles when they face the red-hot De La Salle Green Archers coming this Saturday. So, Mookie, we'll first break down the game that you attended live at the Araneta Coliseum. Our November 12 win versus Adamson, 62-58. Redemption for our buzzer-beating loss in the first round. But my takeaway from this, Mookie, was, you know what? We can win ugly. Diba? We can win ugly ball. I mean, we were up 11 at the half of that game. But before you know it, here comes inconsistency again. We're down 7 at the end of the third.
Right.
But it was for us, it was the hustle plays led by Sean Ketevis, the rim protection by Joe Obasa. It wasn't pretty.
Very ugly win.
Very ugly win, but if you want to prove your caliber as a team, you have to win these games that are played in the mud.
Right. It was a rock fight that second half, especially during that third quarter. Just seeing it live, I wanted to see it live, like how they play, And during the first half, the ball was moving well. The players were making shots, that you never take that for granted nowadays, especially with this team that's like so centered on 3-point shooting. But during that third quarter where I think Adamson went on like a 17-0 run or something like that, and we just didn't score for 5 minutes.
Right.
It was amazing how, you could say like the defense isn't there because they ended up leading and it was a very big turnaround. But having watched that, it could have been a lot worse. The lead was 7 to end the third for Adamson. It would have easily been double digits if it wasn't for, a couple of stops, a couple of rebounds that were had, because I think Didat Hanapi of Adamson was on fire during that third quarter, as well as Matt Erolon. So, an ugly win, a scrappy win for the team, because during that fourth quarter, it only took them a few minutes to get to keep it close again, to get it under 7 points. So, yeah, very unconvincing. Some people might say, especially again, just to reiterate, we're near the end of the elimination round and we still have trouble closing out games. But, we just have to keep, like what you said, a win's a win, no matter how ugly, no matter how you won it. And we're very fortunate that Adamson made their mistakes later, more mistakes than we did. And, that was enough. That was very good. That was enough.
Mookie, touching off from what you said, I want to zero in on this quote from Coach Tab. No, he said, "Did we do anything special in the fourth quarter? No, we just looked up the scoreboard and we were down 7. We just knew we really had to dig in and change our conditions if we wanted to change the outcome." And you have to appreciate the effort that Sean Gutierrez did. He was the interceptions that he was making. He even hit the stanchion on the scorer's table. If you have a guy like that on your squad, that it's infectious. It's infectious.
He brings the energy. He brought the energy to that
He did.
fourth quarter. He brought it back for the Blue Eagles. I remember this one play. He tapped the ball and then for some reason, then he ran after it all the way to the backcourt, even if it was already our ball. But then that heart he showed defensively. Sean Gutierrez has always been a capable defender.
Yeah.
But then the offense is like he showed up with the offense last Sunday, when we really needed the offense. He was driving. Me and I'm always so adamant about this team driving because of their height difference. But Sean Gutierrez is not not one of the tall ones, but he was the one doing the work. He was the one driving, getting to the free throw line, and something that Coach Tab said. Just to reiterate what you quoted was, they had to go out and win that game basically, and how you do that with a Tab Baldwin team is, I think, through defense. We really clamped down on defense that last maybe 3 minutes, despite having committed lots of turnovers in those 3 minutes. I think we were also able to get some stops from Adamson.
Right.
So, and Joseph Abasa, he's a presence inside. Doesn't matter if he blocks the shot. Most of the time he does, but
at least he alters shots.
He alters shots. He has a big man's quality that you always want to have, which is when a guard or anyone sees him in the lane, they don't want to drive.
Not to the same level as an Ange Kouame would
Never.
deter shots.
Right. Yes.
But again, you expect something different from a different player, diba? But I mean, for Joe Abasa's credit, he even nailed the charities that sealed the game.
He's the one. He was.
Right.
I think most of the team were splitting their points from the free throw line, but then lo and behold, Joseph Abasa is the one who made 2 for 2 and sealed the game. So, I hope we don't have any more of those wins where it can be a toss-up in the last minute, because there were so many. Adamson had so many attempts to win that game. They had, I think, multiple possessions where Ateneo kept tapping the ball out. So they had so many plays drawn up. But again, we were able to hold them off. And Adamson's not even a healthy team right now, I would say, because I think Joem Sabandal is out. Obviously, Jerome Lastimos is out. So, we have to do better when it comes to handling less talented teams than us. And
Right.
I think, to segue, I think that's what we did yesterday during our matchup against UE.
Yes. So November 15, just yesterday, we won against UE 80-74 at the Mall of Asia Arena, booting them out of the Final Four contention and upping our case to make the Final Four in hopefully in a matter of days. But in this game, Mookie, they were missing Precious Momoway due to being suspended for 2 unsportsmanlike fouls. But hey, I mean, Jared Brown, remember what I said in our previous episode? Na sometimes the shot selection is head scratching. But hey, shooters are gonna shoot. Jared Brown made the most out of his opportunity, notching a career high 21 points on 6 of 11 shooting from downtown.
I think he started the game perfect. I think during the first half he was 4 for 4 from 3, and I like Jared Brown. Like I said in previous shows, he's a key to how the offense will flow if his shots are falling. And thank God his shots were falling yesterday. We had a better first half. I think one of the better first halves I've watched this team play. Because of the shots that were falling in, and we really. Yesterday, more than ever, I think we pounded it inside more since the lack of Momoway really made the difference. And Coach Tab said that yesterday he said, Precious was out, so they needed to pound the ball inside, get the ball inside more, and Kai Balungay drove more to the basket, which I like. Chris Kuhn, taking advantage of the smaller UE defenders. And again, we always say that the third quarter this season has been a sore spot for the Blue Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think yesterday they played, I think, their best third quarter.
Okay.
They were able to keep the lead from halftime this
Yes.
time. They were even able to, I think, get it up a little bigger so that the UE couldn't really stop them offensively. And we got them defensively because after Ray Remogat, there's only a few other people you can go to without Momoway as your, inside presence. So, thank God we got the 2 wins that we needed. We were talking about it last week. Na
At least get
at
two.
least 2 out of 3, and
Yep.
we'll be in prime position for the last spot in the Final Four. And I think we made it. But yesterday was a good showing, enough to persuade me in thinking that LaSalle's unbeaten 7 games, right?
7 games.
7 games. We'll see on Saturday. That's a lot more optimistic. I would have been a lot more optimistic, if we handled the Adamson win a lot better. But I'm going into Saturday expecting a close game. I wouldn't be expecting LaSalle to just blow our doors off like they've been doing, weaker teams than them. I think the only exception was the UP game.
Right.
But then I think Ateneo will fight on Saturday. I really hope they do.
Well, coming from just focusing on this UE game again, the win didn't come easy because we were holding a 17-point fourth quarter lead, and then UE came back with a 20-7 run.
Right.
Right. Well, they even had the triples. Si Lingo.
Lingo, right?
Yeah, cut down the lead to 4, 68-72. But if there's something that bodes well for us now heading into that LaSalle game this Saturday, you said it a while ago, Mookie. Our big men went to work this game. Kai Balungay had 15 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Joe Obasa had a double-double, 13 and 11. 6 boards coming off the offensive end. So, diba, you've mentioned time and time again how we have to take advantage of that size that we have on the roster, and exploit teams who are not of the same ceiling as us, and hopefully we can replicate that when we do face LaSalle on Saturday. However, no, Coach Tab did mention something, and it's this. He says it was disappointing to turn the ball over as much as we did, and to not be more dominant in rebounding. So imagine that. Joe Obas already had a double-double. Kai Balungay did his share, but for Coach Tab, kulang pa rin eh,
Kulang pa rin. The standard he sets for this team is really high. No matter how many disclaimers he put on this team earlier this season, his level of, how he looks at this team is still, we can make it all the way. We can go all the way to the finals again. I'm not sure if he's expecting it, but he wants them to achieve it. And that's the standard, he's driving home the fact that Precious Momoway wasn't there, and they could have done a lot more inside. Because you're right, they did lose the lead a little bit during that fourth quarter. I think a lot has to go to Ray Remogat for that. Once they put him back in, he was monster again.
Yeah.
I think he scored 22 points all in all. A lot in the third quarter, a lot in the fourth quarter. And just, we always, Ateneo has this habit, and this has gone through past seasons as well, as, we build up a lead, but then the team comes back, but then the lead's too big. That's what happened yesterday. So, of course, you're never satisfied with that, because I think a coach always wants a wire-to-wire victory where, you just really exploit the errors of the other team. In this case, not having a big man like Precious Momoway. So, he'll be he's expecting the Blue Eagles to, finish their elimination campaign strong on Saturday. I'm pretty sure he's been screaming at his players, this is the Sal, this is the Sal, this is our last game. We want to send a message na we're not just the last team, we're not just the fourth seed.
Yeah.
We're like still part of the, because right now the season narrative has been top 3 teams and everyone else. Very F1-like, if we're trying to put it in an analogy. You have LaSalle, NU, and UP.
Yes.
Then everyone else is fighting for the 4th spot. But then, we have the pedigree, we have the championship experience, and we have to go out on Saturday like that. We have to show na we deserve to be on the Final Four. Now, we could face anyone out of the 3, and we have a shot. So hopefully, things go well.
All right. So heading into Saturday, let's try to recall what went right for us when we faced LaSalle the first time back in the first round. No, and simply put, that was perhaps the best game of our front court duo of Kai and Mason.
Yes.
Diba? That was
the premiere, almost like the premiere of them playing together, right?
Mason Amos' coming out party where he fired at least 20 in that game, no? Kai Balungay was just dunking on people that game. So here, these two big guys of ours, they're in for a matchup right now with the MVP candidate in Kevin Cambao.
Runaway MVP candidate.
Runaway MVP candidate. And of course the Phillips bros are still gonna be there, but much is expected from Kai and Mason this game.
They have to show up. Because KQ is gonna show up for LaSalle. He's been on a roll this win during this win streak of theirs. So how they won the first game was, just spamming that play, that double high pick play, and then Chris Kuhn would pick, and then Kai would either roll or Mason would pop up. And that's so dangerous, especially to a LaSalle team. Right, they have size, so they're all, most of the time, the big men are down low.
Yeah.
So if Kai is denied on the roll, then you have Mason Amos. They need to hit those shots.
Right.
They have to be aggressive. I'm talking about like aggressive, UP first round aggressive, where like I don't think UP was expecting that during the first round. So it was very and surprising for them, and we have to mimic that on Saturday.
Or even the same defensive intensity that we showed versus Adamson.
Right. During the last possessions, right.
That same level of defensive toughness and grit, if you can replicate that in that game versus LaSalle, give him hell on the defensive end, they'll be in a good chance to, get a W.
I think another factor is coaching, because, of course, Coach Tab, he's the master of the UAP in terms of coaching. But then, Topex Robinson isn't particularly new to coaching big games. He's been an NCAA coach and a PBA coach, but he has a certain reverence for Coach Tab. You can see it when
mutual respect.
Yes, they always talk a lot. They always talk for a long time whenever they shake hands and everything. So they have a working relationship, and you just know LaSalle is also ready for us on Saturday, because of course they want to keep their win streak going. They have a chance to be the first seed.
They do,
if all things go right for them. So they're playing for something as well. And not to mention that it's an Ateneo LaSalle game. On top of that. So we just have to play our best game of the season in our last game of the season, technically, because things go wrong. We have a playoff against Adamson, and that's anything can happen in a playoff. We saw that last season with Adamson. They beat LaSalle, so it's gonna be tough. But again, the Kai Balungay Mason Amos duo, I think they'll show up. I think Mason Amos has the knack for big games.
Right.
He's showed it. He's shown it. Kai, little less, I think he'll give the numbers, but the quality of play, hopefully, is much better. And they can replicate what they did in the first round.
Right. And also, since you brought up Mookie, si Coach Topex Robinson, it's just to me, it's amazing how throughout this hot streak of LaSalle, their mindset is not. They're not overly hyped for it. They're balanced. In fact, they're even carefree.
They're expecting it. They've expected this.
Coach Topix has this happy-go-lucky approach, the way he does things with LaSalle, and I'll mention a quote from him. He says, "Since day one, we talked about running our own race. What's important for us is to build a culture that winning is just going to be the byproduct of what we're doing." This was when LaSalle rose to 9-3, right around that time. So you see this, I don't know, contrast of mentalities where LaSalle is, sige lang, parang we're just playing our game. They're relaxed, they're carefree. Meanwhile, us, parang we know it's must-win time.
We're fighting for our lives.
Diba?
Yes,
It's must-win time. You can't lose. You're more tense, which is why it's important for Coach Tab to instill in the guys for Saturday. Huwag tayong gigil.
Right.
You cannot play gigil versus
That's
LaSalle.
a good point. You can't.
Diba?
Especially the way LaSalle's playing right now. Where
No.
you're right. Very poised. Unlike any LaSalle team we've seen recently, they're very poised.
Yes.
They know how to stop a run. They know how to not. Hindi sila nagpapadala if there's a run. You know, they'll play their game still. So we have to be ready for that because they won't adjust to us. We have to adjust to them. They're the ones on a very hot winning streak.
That's hard na if your opponent is on a win streak and they're chill about it. They're not like, hey, diba parang we're stamping our
We have to
class
keep this
on the
going,
rest.
right? Yeah.
Hindi eh. So parang you cannot fight that with being overly aggressive, diba? To the point that you're committing self-harming mistakes. Because that's what happens when you're gigil. You're trying to do too much, diba? In such a short span of time. So again, it's gonna be crucial for Coach Tab, Coach Sandy, the rest of the coaching staff to keep the boys balanced.
Yes.
Diba? Balance. Just stay here. Diba?
Right.
Don't try to do too much. Lalo na, you mentioned it's an Ateneo LaSalle game. We're fighting for a playoff spot.
They're fighting for
They're
their
fighting
own.
for the number one seed.
Right.
So again, the mentality that you bring into this game is gonna be really, really crucial.
Something to look out for this game is I think how we defend Kiambao.
That too.
He's their focal point. If you remove him off the court, they're a very different team. Even with Evanele as your point guard, it runs through him.
Yeah.
You can also say that defensively because he's also been really good defensively. So, I think he got the triple-double this past Sunday again, and then I think he had 5 blocks and 2 steals again. So,
Beast.
he's doing everything for this team, and I'm very curious to see, how they match up against him now. Because if we treat him like a team does, for example, Nikola Jokic, and this is like really high praise for Kiambao that I mentioned him.
Because his
But then-
idol is Jokic.
right. And we double him, or I think LaSalle's ready for that. But then if we're able to play him straight up, if Kai's up to the challenge, if Mason is up to the challenge, even Joseph Abasa, who,
Or even Gio Chu for that
right.
matter.
These big men, they have a tall order with Kevin Kiambao next. So I'm really interested in seeing that. And, who's going to be our magic who got this for this game? Rafi Celis is getting steady minutes recently. I think LeBron Nieto's fallen off a little bit of the rotation, but, anything can happen. So, yeah, who's going to be there? Probably 5th or 6th guy who can score.
I was about to say Gab Gomez. Unfortunately, he was shown on our screens on that Adamson game with the wrist split. So
yes.
that's why
Right.
he hasn't been playing.
He's hurt. I believe it's something with his hand. Yeah, so hopefully he gets better. And because we need him, we vitally need another
Outside
point.
shooting,
Right,
yes.
we need the outside shooting.
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay, so Mookie, big game against LaSalle on Saturday. Let's just go through some scenarios, okay?
Right, yes.
That came upon my research. So, if the Blue Eagles win, we enter the Final Four. I hope it's that simple, but no.
no.
If Ateneo loses and Adamson wins versus UE on Sunday, there will be a playoff for the 4th seed.
Yes.
And here's the outcome that we don't want. If the Green Archers win, they are guaranteed at least a playoff for the twice-to-beat advantage. If NU loses to UP on Sunday, they'll be in as number 2. If LaSalle beats Ateneo and NU beats UP, there will be a freeway tie for number 1.
11-3, right?
11-3. But right now, LaSalle is leading the quotient.
Mm-hmm.
So unless the NU Bulldogs completely blow out and trash the UP Fighting Maroons,
Yeah.
the Green Archers will become the number
The
one
one
seed.
seed.
How does that play out for you?
Honestly, I would like LaSalle. I'd pick LaSalle as the number 1 seed if that means us making
The fourth seed.
the 4th seed.
Okay.
I think just based off one game, because we've met the UP and NU, we've met twice now. And again, the first game of LaSalle was, I think, the 3rd game of the season, so it was very early,
Okay.
and they're definitely a different team. But I think matchup-wise, we match up the best against LaSalle. Because I don't think we're going to win against NU. We haven't this season. It'll be very hard for us. And UP just has so many weapons.
Yeah.
So it's also very hard to win. Theoretically, we can win against, all of those 3 teams. Of course, we have to get through Adamson if luck it doesn't go our way on Saturday. But for me, my preference, I would much have LaSalle be number 1. But that's if they win against us. And I'm still on the fence if we will lose on Saturday.
So Ateneo LaSalle on Saturday, and possibly Ateneo LaSalle
Again,
come playoff
probably,
time.
yeah, next Saturday.
All right. More Ateneo LaSalle for us, but Ateneans, that does it for our UAAP Season 86 Elimination Round recap and preview of that game, of that all-important game versus De La Salle.
Come support, by the way, the Blue Eagles.
Yes.
They badly need your support on Saturday. I hope you guys can watch. I think it's Araneta. I think the game's
It is
at 4.
Araneta Coliseum.
Yes, so hopefully you guys can show out for them. Get your tickets wherever you can get tickets. The game's at 6 p.m. So hopefully, it's a jam-packed Ateneo LaSalle game. So let's see.
All right, Ateneans, we'll be back, Mookie and I, for our NBA rundown to wrap this episode up. So stay tuned, stick around. We'll be back in a bit.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Lamig, init, ulan, hangin, kumakalingang kalikasan. Ating alagaan at ingatan. Kumusta na ang ating kalikasan? Pag-usapan natin ang kalagayan ng mundo at kung paano tayo makatutulong sa pagkalinga sa ating tahanan. Kasama sina Father J.M. Manzano ng Kapisanan ni Jesus at si Dr. Abencio V. Milton. Ito ang Tatak Kalikasan sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour. Rejoice, refresh, renew, and reflect. Join us for an hour of music that uplifts the soul. Listen to your favorite Jesuit music ministry artists. This is JMM Radio. Get your day's dose of inspirational music. Tune in to JMM Radio. Every Wednesday, only here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Mamangha sa lalim at ganda ng ating kultura at tiwang makabayan. Sa mga salita at pahina. Sa tulong ng mga guro at manunulat ng panitikang Pilipino. Halina't tuklasin ang yaman ng ating panitikan. Ang pamana ng ating lahi. Kasama si Binibining Andrea Trinidad, Ginoong Jethro Tenorio at Ginoong Yol Hamendang ng Kagawaran ng Filipino ng Pamantasang Ateneo de Manila. Ito ang Sari-Sari, ang Catholic Mass Media Awards Special Citation Awardee para sa pinakamagaling na palatuntunang pang-edukasyon sa radyo. Dito sa Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, baby! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, baby! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, baby! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, baby! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo! Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Alright guys, we are back here on Radyo Katipunan Sports. More hoop talk to come because it's gonna be our NBA rundown to end this episode. And Mookie, our in-season tournament becoming a little bit more interesting with all the scuffles that are going on. So, Lakers versus Grizzlies, Anthony Davis shoved Santi Aldama, had that stare down with Desmond Bain. But I want to talk about what happened, what took place just yesterday. Golden State versus Minnesota, Warriors and Wolves, where within the opening 2 minutes of the game, 10-20 in the first quarter, score was 0-0.
No one scored yet, right?
Draymond Green puts Rudy Gobert in the chokehold. Klay Thompson's jersey is ripped, and Jaden McDaniels is ejected for assaulting Klay Thompson. And the NBA just today handed them down
the fines.
25K for Klay Thompson and Rudy Gobert and Jalen McDaniels. And Draymond Green laid down with a 5-game suspension. And Mookie, this got me thinking though. What constitutes a violation or something of this nature that merits severe punishment, right? We've seen referees punishing players for flexing after a dunk.
Yeah.
Just what happened with Giannis.
Taunting, yeah.
Taunting. But it is these types of,
Incidents.
altercations that do merit suspensions.
Definitely, no. And I think 5 games is enough. Some might say it's not, but first of all, I want to say what Draymond did was completely uncalled for. Completely uncalled for. Like, I don't know where that came from. I saw it yesterday. I wasn't watching the game live, but I saw it a little bit later than it was posted. And I was so shocked. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Nothing's happening yet in the game. It's still 0-0. But then we have the picture of Rudy Gobert in a sleeper hold. But then I think why they made it 5 games, which is I think a lot when we talk about Draymond as someone who has a longer leash than most players when it comes to the ref. We always see him screaming at the refs, talking really closely to the refs without being teed up.
Yeah.
And yesterday, it was also funny how the narratives would switch from like broadcast to broadcast because of course like the Warriors broadcast would defend Draymond and Klay, for not doing it. But then obviously everyone else saw what happened, and they immediately focused on like what Draymond did was wrong. And Draymond's a repeat offender. He's done so many hooligan-like things during his career. Some would say he ended their title hopes last season when he punched Jordan Poole before the season.
Before it even started.
The season even started. And now he's out for the next 5 games for the Warriors. So, I don't think there's any lesson to learn here. Except for, don't touch Klay again.
Okay.
Don't mess with Golden State when Draymond's on the court. But such a bizarre incident yesterday. It was really strange because it was 0-0. There was nothing, nothing chippy happening yet. It was just a scuffle between 2 players that weren't letting go of each other, right? Because I think both of their jerseys, Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson jerseys, were both torn. So it was just that. There was no need to escalate it as much as Draymond did. So.
Right. So we're done with that scuffle. But Mookie, let's focus on these two clubs that figured in that game, no, the Wolves and the Warriors. And it's very apparent to me how these clubs are on two very diverging paths. The Wolves now on a 7-game win streak. Get this, Mookie. 7-game win streak. That is their longest win streak since the 2003 to 2004 season when KG led them to the Western Conference Final. The longest in 20 years.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the Warriors, granted they played without Steph, who was out with the right knee soreness, are now on a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah.
So let's go to the side of Minnesota first. They're 8-2 right now, second best in the West. And with the way Anthony Edwards, he's the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week, scored 20. Kat added 33.
Cat played really well yesterday.
11 boards as well. Rudy Gobert had 13. Little bro ain't scared of big bro anymore. Not anymore. I mean, when you have the best interior defender, not named Victor Wembanyama in Rudy Gobert, you have one of the better perimeter defenders in Jaden McDaniels.
And Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is
and
really
Anthony
good
Edwards too. And you have a solid backup big in Naz Reid, your veteran leader in Mike Conley. You have an emerging star
Kyle
in
Anderson, right.
With these pieces in place for Minnesota, is this the year, do you think, where they can make a deep run in the playoffs?
They can definitely make a deep run in the playoffs. I believe in Ant. I love Anthony Edwards. He is what you want from a superstar. Very charismatic. I love his Adidas commercial for his new shoe. It's so playful. He's very charming around the media.
Yeah.
And he makes you laugh, but then at the same time he's a killer.
Yeah.
He plays like one. I think the coming out party for the Wolves was when they beat the Nuggets, and that's so far the only loss for the Nuggets. And then a few days later, they beat the Celtics, and that was the Celtics' first loss of the season. And during that Celtics win in overtime, they won against the Celtics, and during that win, Ant was clamping down on Jason Tatum in overtime. He took over that extra period, and he showed, why he's a top player now in the NBA. Like, this is his fourth season, I think.
Fourth season.
And
he's only 22.
He's my age.
Your age.
That's the draft class with Melo. And he's showing everyone why he was the number one pick. Because I think during that, that was the LaMelo year. That was the James Wiseman year. People were talking about the two of them. But then people were like, but Anthony Edwards, he's built like a football player. That's what they were saying. But then, look, he's making the difference because his frame is built like a football player, but he's fast. And he wants to win. You don't see that from a lot of young players now. Like they want to just score, they want to get money. But Anthony Edwards, you look at him and he wants to win every game.
Like what he said when he was here, you're him.
You're him. Yeah, he's him.
You're him, Austin. No, but with Ant, Mookie, don't let the goofball personality fool you. The guy has superstar qualities to his name. Remember we were talking about who's gonna emerge as the next American superstar? Because Zion, he barely plays.
Right.
Ja, he's in a world of personal trouble.
Still haven't seen him.
Jason Tatum, pure scorer, but he doesn't have the
marketability,
charisma.
right?
The charisma, the X factor.
I like Jason Tatum.
But Ant just puts it all together. You have the talent. You've seen him in movies already, in with Adam Sandler. He's on pace for career high in points per game and assists per game. Every year that he's played, he's increased. PPG, APG. So, you have Ant in place as your superstar of the Wolves. But I think the real key to unlocking the potential of the Wolves is if Karl Anthony Towns is comfortable and settled with him being a number 2.
I think he is. I think he's finally accepted that this year. He hasn't gotten in the way a lot of times. He hasn't. And one knock on Cat was he plays defense really, really poorly. Because I say this because he's foul bait.
Yeah.
He always gets into foul trouble. And in the playoffs that's so deadly because you need your guys. You need to stay on the floor if you're a key guy. And he can't do that. He has the same quality. Jaren Jackson shares the same quality on the Grizzlies where he's very big and they like to jump on defense. And that doesn't bode well. But, I think the influence of Rudy Gobert definitely makes a difference for him because, someone who is as sound defensively as Rudy Gobert inside can definitely, help shape Cat into what they want. Because no doubt he can score. Cat, we know he says he's the best.
Shooting big.
Shooting big. Anyone? No. But then, he can definitely... He is down to number 2 because of what we see now from Anthony Edwards. But it's also their team. Their team is really well-rounded. Especially, how we saw the Nuggets win last season with not just Jokic and Murray, but, they had a team. They had 7 guys who can deliver during big moments. And I think the Wolves, I think they have 7 guys. I think they have their 7 guys. Or at least, 6 to 7 guys who can fill that out during, games that matter. So I'm looking at them. They're definitely on watch right now as like a team who can probably get home court advantage, right? It's pretty early, but then they're there. They're right there. And they have all the pieces. So I won't be surprised if they actually do go all the way and they're like the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed in the West. So I'm very happy for them because I'm an Anthony Edwards fan, not really a Rudy Gobert fan. I will say this though, I laughed a lot yesterday when I found out that Rudy Gobert was the one who was in the choco because the pictures were really funny.
Yeah.
But then he's that team is scary.
Yeah.
Now knowing, they've beaten the teams that
the elite ones,
right? And they can match up with the rest of the elite ones. So hopefully they continue this ride.
As long as there's chemistry, everyone knows their role.
Yes.
That's very important in a team.
Yes.
Diba? That wants to go from, we're a scrappy young unit, but if you want to push to the next level.
Yeah, like to be respected.
Diba?
Yeah.
There's a pecking order to it. But again, these little bros are sure to...
They're up. They're next.
Do some damage.
They're ready.
Seriously, in the West. And now, Mookie, let's switch over to the Warriors, who, they're now on a 4-game losing streak. If you're Steph at 35, this is not the last dance, potentially the last dance that you're hoping for. You did get Chris Paul. I mean, for a while and to start the season, he was he had 62 assists.
Yeah.
And then just like 1.3.
Wasn't shooting really well. Yeah.
Just a few turnovers, but they did solve their issues by adding Chris Paul to the mix.
They didn't. And there's a crazy stat that was broken yesterday because no one else played after the incident. But I think before yesterday's game, there's only one other player who scored 20 points aside from Steph, and that was Dario Saric during one game. So, and Dario Saric has been really good for them. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think he's definitely part of that team now. He's key if they want to succeed. But this is the first time, starting the season. And they started the season relatively well until, Steph got hurt. He has to sit down. He has to sit a few games. But without Steph, that Golden State team has a lot of things to figure out. Because Clay hasn't been showing Clay like, what we know Clay can be. Mm-hmm. And Andrew Wiggins has sucked to start the season. Lack of a better word. So, they're in a slump right now, like you said, for the 4 game skid. They were up against young teams, Cleveland, Minnesota. So, I think they're all right. Their experience, they know their goal is to make the playoffs, not necessarily, have home court advantage anymore. That's not what they're after. But it's a little bit alarming for Steph, but at the same time, I'm confident. This is the Warriors. They've been champions for a reason. A lot of it's because of Steph. Mm-hmm. And I think once Steph gets back, Draymond is also going to be a factor in this once he gets back. So I think they're all right. Nothing to really be alarmed about yet.
But gone are the days where, the Warriors will be down, let's say, by 5. And then the next time you look up at the scoreboard, they're up by 12 just because of the shooting that they have. This team doesn't...
They don't have it. They don't have it yet. They don't have it yet. It's Steph, and then everyone else is maybe. Everyone else is Clay might hit 8 threes.
Right.
Or Clay might hit the game-winning shot. We saw him make that already this season. But, as of right now, it's just been Steph versus everyone else, and that's hard. That's been a while since we've seen the Warriors look like that. Ever since, I guess, since Clay was injured the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see.
And just to, I don't know, Mookie, just to go into this a little bit deeper. The Warriors are in this predicament right now because their two timeline plan didn't work. But they had a timeline where, okay, let's keep Steph, Clay, and Draymond to keep the playoff the playoff streak going. But at the same time, we'll try to develop James Wiseman, Kuminga, Jordan Poole, those guys. But you cannot operate on two different timelines. You cannot have a multiverse on one roster.
Two of those young players are gone. They're not there anymore.
Right.
So shows you, how hard it is to. You're right. It's really hard. You can't balance it out like that because you need those guys as much as you want them to learn, get their reps in. You want them to contribute right away to a championship.
But Wiseman wasn't ready for it.
Wiseman wasn't ready for it. Jordan Poole's mindset wasn't all there, and I think Kuminga wasn't really part of their championship run, their latest championship run. But I think he's still there because Steve Kerr sees something in him that he can tweak, into fitting his system. As I think that also goes for Moses Moody. Moses Moody is a good role player for them now. But you're right. You can only go so far in terms of player development if you have a generational lineup, which they have for all these years. And the only way you can really commit to a young team is if those young players are your stars.
Right.
You can't tell them, okay, you can, as looking at Jordan Poole, right? We know his capabilities. We see it now. But then if you're him and you know what you're capable of, and they say you're not gonna play because Steph, Steph's gonna have the ball for most of the time. You're gonna set picks for him, right? And of course that doesn't go well, especially if you're as talented as Jordan Poole.
Right. And at least they solved something by shipping out Jordan Poole
to
Washington. No, he just looks like a guy who's putting up empty stats in Washington right now. But again, okay, for the Warriors, the way I see it, the best case scenario is they ride it out like the Spurs did with Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili until the wheels fall off.
Ganun
na lang.
Capable. Very capable team pa rin naman with the three of them. And I think Chris Paul is going to be instrumental down the stretch of the season.
Right.
If he's healthy. Hopefully he's healthy because they're going to need him.
But Clay is far from the championship number 2 he once was.
Clay.
I mean, after
Clay
the
needs to get
injury,
better. Clay needs to get better this season. I think he will. He's, shoot. Sometimes, shooters have slumps. I think this is just a slump for him. More alarming for me is Andrew Wiggins.
Right.
He hasn't been showing up. He was an all-star 2 seasons ago. And he's not. He simply hasn't been showing up. I think Jonathan Kuminga's been playing a lot better than him. I think even Dario Saric has been playing better than him. So we have yet to hear from Andrew Wiggins, who was instrumental.
Right.
Definitely instrumental in their 2022 run. So hopefully he figures it out also.
As for Draymond, though, if you're Steve Kerr by this time, okay, Draymond, you know what? Whatever. You're a loose cannon. I'll live with that. Because at the end of the day, Draymond's still the backbone of that Warriors defense.
He still makes a difference, right?
He is. He's getting up there in age. He might not be as as fast twitch as before that he could cover the whole floor. But in terms of the defensive leadership that he provides, Draymond's
leadership.
Still Draymond.
Draymond's Draymond. He's their leader. He's their voice, literally. And it will be nice to see what this suspension does for him. Will he take it easy with the refs, take it easy with everyone first, focus on the game, which I think he's a good enough player to dabble in both, the game and the theatrics. But now we we only see him really locked in during the playoffs. So we'll see if he's able to take the suspension, take this 5-game hit, and after that just be a completely, not different player, but then a more, how do I say it? A player that works better, for them to win. Because right now, he hasn't been affecting their winning a lot recently also. Because he's just there to complain about fouls, flop, and stuff like that. So, nothing to worry about the Warriors, in my opinion.
Not yet, though.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right, that wraps it up for Mookie and me on this episode of Radyo Katipunan Sports. But before we end, Mookie, who do you want to give your big blue shout out to?
Again, I just want to give a big blue shout out to the swimming team and the track and field team next week. Hope you can support them. They need your support. It's also really fun to watch those sports. They have lots of events, and the crowds during those sports are just also really fun to be around. So yeah, hope you guys can make it to those games.
Right, and of course, big blue shout out again to our Blue Eagles and Lady Eagles of the badminton team.
Yes, again,
amazing that double crown.
Singing their praise.
First one in Loyola Heights for season 86. Congratulations to you guys. And that does it for this episode of Radyo Katipunan Sports. Thank you so much to the hardworking production team behind the voice of the Blue Eagle. Thank you to my co-anchor as always, Mookie B.
Thanks,
and
Anthony.
most of all, thank you to our Blue Eagle Nation for tuning in and supporting Ateneo's #1 sports radio show. Guys, please don't hesitate to send in your comments, questions, feedback. Mookie and I will be glad to get back to you in our next episode. And once again, this is Anthony saying goodbye. One big fight. See you again soon, only here on Radyo Katipunan. Peace, guys. Thank you.
Peace.
Welcome to RK Sports, where we take you right into the action with the highlights, insights, and analysis of the sports scene in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. With your hosts, Anthony Perez and Mookie Borja. Katipunan. Game on.